thoughts and actions. Your power lies here. There's a moment on every conscious path when we're forced to come to terms with this sobering truth that we control almost nothing. We can't control other people's behavior, the economy, how long we'll live, the weather, the unexpected losses, or the blessings that show up uninvited. But what do we control? Hi friends, I'm Scott, and I welcome you to be one with me as we journey together to be the best we can. So what do we control? What have we always controlled is where our focus goes and what we do with it. Our thoughts, our actions, that's the foundation. That's the bridge to peace, purpose, and powerful living. And once we truly get this, not just intellectually, but deep in the bones, life starts to shift in real and lasting ways. At first, it might sound limiting, just two things, is that it? But in truth, it's incredibly liberating. Imagine walking through through life, no longer trying to micromanage outcomes, people or circumstances. Imagine waking up instead of stressing over what's outside of your control. You turn inward and ask, what am I thinking today? And what am I doing with it? That's power. That's where peace lives. Because everything, your emotions, your reactions, your decisions, your relationships flow from the thoughts you choose and the actions they birth. Take a moment right now and check in. What thoughts have been driving your day so far? Are they supportive, kind, visionary, or are they reactive, doubtful, scattered? Most of us run on autopilot more than we realize. We think we're choosing, but often we're repeating, recycling the same inner loops that we picked up years ago, many of which were never even ours to begin with. Our beliefs about what's possible, who we are, what we deserve, they're inherited and absorbed and then lived out through daily choices, and unless we intervene. So here's the invitation. Pause the loop. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this thought mine? Is it true? And does it serve who I'm becoming? When we shift our thoughts consciously, lovingly, we begin to reshape our entire lives. Because thought is creative energy. Every action begins with it. Not all thoughts are created equal, though, and here's where discernment comes in. And there's a big difference between thinking and overthinking, between intention and mental noise. Overthinking tends to spiral, stuck in a feedback loop of doubt, second guessing, and fear. But clear thought, that's a compass. It doesn't shout. It doesn't scatter. It settles in like a quiet knowing, an intuitive nudge that says, go this way. Many of us confuse the storm in our heads for wisdom, but intuition doesn't create anxiety, it creates clarity. The mind races, but the soul speaks with stillness. That's how you know. So instead of trying to silence all thought, we learn to tune into ones that rise from inner truth, and from there we act. Action is the physical echo of our thoughts. You can think all day long about going to the gym, leaving the relationship, starting the project, or apologizing for your past. But until you move, nothing changes. Thoughts are the architects, but action is the builder. And action doesn't require perfection, it requires alignment. What does alignment look like? It's when the thing you're doing feels consistent with who you want to be. And you don't have to fake it. You don't have to hype yourself up for it. The action flows from a place of knowing this is right for me. That kind of knowing builds character. It creates congruence. You stop living in conflict with yourself. You begin to show up the same way in every room because you're not performing, you're aligned. And when your actions match your values, self-trust is born, and you no longer rely on motivation alone. You live by something steadier, integrity. And ask yourself, are my actions today matching what I say I care about? If not, that's not failure, that's information, a mirror, not a punishment. There's an internal reward that comes when we act in ways that feel noble and true, even if no one's watching, even if there's no immediate payoff. That's what true happiness feels like. It's not pleasure. It's not excitement. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet, unshakable peace of knowing you're living with purpose. Not just chasing dopamine or comfort, but building something that matters. Ask yourself, what thoughts would you need to believe in order to become the person you've always wanted to be? What kind of self-talk would naturally lead to those kinds of actions? Do you need to think I'm ready now, or instead of I'll wait until I'm perfect? Do you need to say my voice matters instead of they won't listen? Whatever you want to build in your outer world must be allowed in your inner one. Nothing manifests that you haven't already given permission to exist in your thoughts. Of course, this doesn't mean we never feel doubt or fear or uncertainty. Those thoughts will arise, but you're not your thoughts. You're the awareness behind them. And you get to choose which ones stay and which ones pass through like clouds. That's the work. That's the freedom. You become the gatekeeper of your own mind. You decide what energy is allowed to take root. One powerful practice is to, write your thoughts down at the beginning or the end of each day, and not necessarily a diary, but an honest snapshot. What was I thinking about today? What were those thoughts? Were they helpful or harmful? Were they about growth or about fear? Did they inspire me to move or to keep me stuck? Just noticing this without judgment starts to change the whole game. You begin to see patterns, and patterns are where transformation lives in, Another exercise would be like to take one thought you've been repeating that doesn't serve you, like I'm too late, or I always mess this up, or and just flip it, not with fake positivity, but with truthful clarity. I'm right on time for this version of myself, or every mistake is teaching me something valuable. Watch what happens when you act from the new thought. That's not just mindset work, that's soul level alchemy. And while you're practicing this with yourself, notice how your thoughts affect your relationships. The way you interpret others' behavior is shaped by your own inner dialogue. If your thoughts say, people can't be trusted, you'll see betrayal even where there isn't any. If your thoughts say, I'm lovable and supported, you'll attract and recognize genuine connection. What we focus on, we feed. What we feed grows. And what grows becomes our life. Imagine for a moment if everyone on the planet committed to mastering just these two things, their thoughts and their actions. How many arguments would never start? How many relationships would thrive? How many lives would be reclaimed from victimhood and turned into radiant stories of healing, purpose, and joy? The world doesn't change because one person controls everything. It changes because individuals take responsibility for their internal world. And that ripple becomes unstoppable. You already have what you need. The power is in your awareness. Each thought is a seed, and each action is the water. The more intentional you become, the more aligned your life becomes. And the more aligned your life becomes, the more joy becomes your baseline. Not because everything is perfect, but because you know how to meet it. You know how to respond. You know how to live with power, not force. So ask yourself again, what am I thinking right now? What am I doing with that thought? Is it letting me move to the life I want or away from it? Can I pause, reset, realign without shame, without guilt, just from a place of love and sovereignty? That's the real magic. You don't have to change everything overnight. You just have to own your next thought and your next action, and then the next. It's in that rhythm that transformation becomes not a destination, but a lifestyle. You start to trust yourself. You start to like yourself. And you start to live as someone who creates their world from the inside out. And when life gets chaotic or the outcomes don't look the way you hoped, you return to this root truth. I can't control everything, but I can control how I show up. I can control how I speak, how I think, how I love, and how I move forward. And that, my friends, is more than enough. Subscribe to this channel, like and share this video, and let me know in the comments about how you control your thoughts and when you might have let a time your thoughts guided you to improper actions. Visit beonewithme.com. More's coming from the heart for the soul. Check out one of these videos, and remember, a smile can make someone's day, and the right words may change their life. I love you. Be you. Be one with me.